Hey there, it's Hillary, and today I've decided that I'm going to do a video of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. I haven't been staying up to date on my monthly wrap-ups. I think I've only managed to do like 2 so far, and I know this is only the 5th month of the year and it's not completed yet, so we've only had 4 months, but that's like a quarter of the year over. I don't know. I'm just gonna let you know what I've read so far this year and what I really enjoyed. I will say that this has been a very good reading year for me so far. Not so much in the amount of books that I've read, but the quality of books that I've read. I have given just about every single book that I've read this year either 4 or 5 stars. I've had a couple of 3s, and I think there might have been maybe 1, 2. Maybe because I'm reading more. I don't know. You'd think the more that I would read that I would get tougher on the books that I've been reading. I don't know if it's just because I've been more selective and I've really been picking things that I want to read this year, no matter how long the book has been out. And honestly, most of the books that I have not enjoyed have been my book club books. Sorry, book club. But we all don't have the same reading taste. So the books that have been getting picked have not been the type of books that I like to read. Maybe because they've not been fantasy and that's like all I've been in the mood to read lately. I don't know. But those seem to be the books that I don't enjoy as much, although I don't mind reading out of my comfort zone. I'll still give it a shot. I might end up enjoying it. Who knows? So I'm going to let you know the things that I've really enjoyed this year. One of the first books that I've read this year was Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I am a huge Lunar Chronicles fan, and I could not wait to get my hands on Renegades. She did not disappoint. I loved the book. I loved the whole idea for the main character in the book of being a villain. I love a villain book. I know I've said this in videos before. I love a villain. I love a villain backstory. I could not get me enough of a villain. So this book, being all about a villain, loved it. Cannot wait to read Arch Enemies. It comes out in September or November, which is so sad because I read this in January. I had to wait almost an entire year. That is probably a book that I want to say that I'll buy it right away, but I'll probably tell someone that I want it for Christmas, and then I'll end up not buying it myself. But that being said about this one, I told someone I wanted this one for Christmas, and I ended up getting an autographed copy. So that was super exciting. So I think I'll do the same thing next year, and I will put the sequel to this one on my Christmas list, and hopefully someone will get it for me. Speaking of Christmas list, my mom, she got me The Savage Song and Our Dog Duet for Christmas, and I read both of those and I really enjoyed it. I just liked this duology. It was really good. It was an interesting take on a story. I had never read any V.E. Schwab books before. I had read her story that's in Because You Love to Hate Me, and I liked her writing in there. I loved her writing here. I cannot wait to read more of her books. I want to read the Darker Shades of Magic series. I want to read Vicious. I want to read a lot of her books. This duology did not disappoint. It definitely made me want to read more of her writing. I thought the ratings on it were on point. The story is good. So if you have a chance to pick those 2 up, definitely say do it. I cannot remember if I gave it 4 or 5 stars. I'm pretty sure everything I show you today, since it's been like my favorites of the year, most of them are 5 stars. Some of them are 4, and I gave them 4 stars mainly because there was maybe a part that dragged or a part that I didn't find that was necessary or something like that. But these are all books that I really enjoyed or absolutely loved. Another duology that I read this year was Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of the Siren Queen. I enjoyed both of these books so much. This is probably one of the quickest books I have ever read. I sat down and started reading this book, and then the next thing I knew, I was 200 pages in. This book flew by for me. A friend of mine, she actually had received an arc of Daughter of the Siren Queen, and I sent her a text message and I said, I'm gonna need you to bring me that book because I'm almost done this one. I was gonna wait till I saw you at book club on Wednesday, but I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna be finished the book before then, and I need it because I need to know what happens. I just loved it. I read a review that someone, they were just blasting this book. They gave it 1 star, and they said they were saying all these things about how there's a possible. I don't want to say what they said in the book because I don't want to give it away. But I really wanted to comment. You're reading a book about pirates. Pirates do not have morals. They're going to make things seem okay that aren't okay. I just could not get behind that review. You have to think about the context of your book you're reading. It did not bother me that these people in this book were murdering and pillaging and I don't want to say raping, but they're pirates. They do bad things. Okay, rant over. I'm sorry. I really wanted to make a rant video about the review. I'm not gonna lie. Moving on. Another one of the things that I read at the beginning of the year, it seriously has been most of the books that I've read this year, were books by Rick Riordan. I read the entire 5 books of the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. Loved it. I had never read it before, and I know it's a middle grade, and that's probably why it was so easy, but I loved it. I loved the middle grade humor in it. I just found it was so funny. I just loved it. I was obsessed. I became obsessed. I had to read like everything Percy Jackson. So I read this whole series, and then I turned around, and as soon as that was over, I read this whole series. So I read the Heroes of Olympus series, and I still could not get enough. So then I started reading this series right here, and I think that I read the first one. I don't think I read the second one. I think because it wasn't about Percy, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's what it was, or I don't know if it was because it's a whole different mythology, whereas this is Greek and Roman, and that is like Norse mythology, and I'm not too much into like Norse mythology. I don't know very much about that, whereas Greek mythology I'm more familiar with, and I really like Greek mythology, so I don't know if that's part of the reason why it wasn't as interesting to me. I will get around to reading that book and the third one, and I also, over there, I have the Trials of Apollo. I have the first one of that one, and I'll get around to reading that series too. But I spent so much time reading Rick Riordan the beginning of the year. I read like all of the books in a month. I think in January I read like 12 or 14 books, and they were like all Rick Riordan. I just became obsessed. But they were so easy to read. I mean, they're middle grade, so it just flew by. And also I ended up with like, I was sick with the stomach bug for like a whole weekend, so I just sat in bed and read, and you know, that was like 4 books in a whole weekend. Enough of my sad sickness story. The next thing that I read that I really enjoyed was Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. It is part of the Arc of Scythe series, and again, it's a dystopian. I love dystopians. I feel like it's one of the newer dystopians. A lot of people don't come out with dystopian books, and I do feel like this is one of the newer ones that they've come out with, and it's really good. I really like the take on the story. The second one, you are getting introduced to a new main character, and his story gets wrapped into the previous character's main stories. That doesn't bother me. He did not bother me as a main character. Some people, they did not care for him. He was fine. There were some parts that were a little slow for me. That being said, I still really enjoyed it. I gave the book 4 stars. It was really good. I cannot wait to see what happens in the next one, and I cannot stand the way this book left off on a cliffhanger, but, you know, that's how they get you to want to read the next one, so it happens. The last books that I really enjoyed this year were the Three Dark Crowns series. I've read both of them so far this year, and I really loved them both, and I cannot wait to read the other one. Hopefully I'll get to that one this year too. So those are some books that I've read so far this year. Altogether so far I've read 29 books, and I have a goal for 50. So not even halfway through, I'm over halfway through my goal. And I can't wait to see what I read for this next half of the year. So thanks for joining me. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you've read this year, and hopefully it will encourage me to pick up some more of these series on my bookshelf that I have not read that I really want to get to. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave me a like, and if you'd like to see more videos from me, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!